In our country, for instance, when I was coming up, we had pipe-borne water. This generation have never seen pipe-borne water. So how are you going to fix the country when you don't, except you leave the country, and that's why they're leaving. And then the ones who leave and come back are expressing themselves in awesome ways. So exposure is very important. That's something that they need. Again, scriptural recommendation is whatsoever your hand finds to do it. For me, you don't control your purpose. Purpose is something that God has determined, whether you like it or not. And He's the one who's going to ring your bell at a point in time that He chooses and then bring you into purpose. For Moses, it was at age 80. For Jeremiah, it was when he was 17. You can't worry all through your life, waiting for purpose to kick in. No.
It has already been given to you.
The Tracy Dominic Show. Own your story.
In today's fast-changing world, young people miss their way and face so many pressures in life, from being confused about their faith to losing their God-given assignment. How can young people stay grounded in faith and align their paths with purpose? Now, on today's episode of the Tracy Dominic Show, where we share the untold stories of talented people and expert insights to help you live a healthier, more purposeful, and fulfilling life. My guest today is a pastor, a youth pastor, a mentor, and an entrepreneur who has spent over 2 decades in guiding youth and teenagers. Pastor I.K. Chiedu. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you so much for coming on the Tracy Dominic Show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
And it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
2 decades of guiding youth and teenagers. What have you learned from them?
Well, 2 decades, makes it look long. It's been a breeze. When they say when you do something you're enjoying, then time flies. So it's like, really? 2 decades?
Yeah, true.
I feel like I just started yesterday. But, of course, it's been very experiential. Life is in phases and seasons, and so we've seen different generations of youth with different passions, different focuses, so to speak, and each one, there's a learning point with each one. There's some things I don't think, but then there are things that
I can tell that you're really enjoying it.
it's a life holding, I think.
Beautiful. So what is that one challenge you think young people often face, especially in this modern era?
Good question, and I think that's really what got me into it. We generally would draw from our own experiences, and that's how we interact with the world. And what it is, I think young people, especially in our part of the world, are our biggest, one of the biggest wasted resources. A lot of them, but they don't generally get the opportunity to air their voice. That has to do with a lot of our culture, where, nobody wants to listen to you until you're 25, and your most productive years actually before that. If you compare with young people in other nations, by 18, people are moving out of their homes here. That at 18, where are you going?
Exactly.
So the opportunities that they have, I think, some of the challenges that they face, they have to struggle to get a voice. I mean, even in our politics, we know what's going on there.
Yeah.
Young people are not very well represented with the opportunities for them to shine. There's quite a lot that young people can do.
So despite all of those challenges, how do you think that young people can live a life of purpose? Because here in the Tracy Dominic Show is all about defining purpose and spotlighting these young people with potentials. So how do you think, despite all of the challenges that we face in Nigeria, young people can still live a life of purpose and stay grounded in faith?
What it would be, like I said, the challenge is opportunities. For some people, they're able to create their own opportunities. They're able to come up with their own platforms, and but generally, one generation leads or helps and pulls up another generation, and so that's one way. But faith, and that's one of the reasons why we have the faith that we have. God can take somebody from the back water and put you in the front. Take a pauper and put you in front. Take a nobody and make you king. He's done that several times. And so I think the faith helps them do that. It gives them a leg up. It gives them the confidence that they need, that they may not be getting from the environment or not from the family or the culture systems, and they're able to do a lot. And I think they are doing a lot. Some of the most amazing things happening in our country are all youth driven. I would say even the unicorn companies, the big companies, the category king companies, it's the entrepreneurship of young people who, in spite of the challenges of the environment, have risen to the top, and they're doing very well.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. As a youth pastor, you've had to guide and direct so many young people who have come to you for advice and, directions generally in life. So what are some of the most common challenges you see that young people come to you for to gain insight and advice?
A lot would be, finding their voice. Yeah. Like I said, part of the culture, and that's what we've identified, I guess, that our culture does not necessarily put the young person forward. And so what that screams out is a lot of self-doubt and self-confidence and not really realizing what it is that you do. So, for instance, in our ministry, our motto is to discover and develop potential. Now, the sooner you figure out what you're good at, the faster it is to set yourself on your path. So we see that in somebody like Moses, who from early on, you already know that I'm supposed to be this, or to Joseph. And also, the sooner you can connect with what it is that you're good at, what it is that you feel inspired to do, then the sooner you can set on your way and make an impact while you're young. And so I think that's what it is. Take yourself through that.
Oh, that is so profound. You're also an entrepreneur. Yes. So how can young people, despite the limited opportunities they have, how can they navigate entrepreneurship with faith?
Faith, by definition, in many regards, I think is entrepreneurial. And everybody who's expressed themselves in faith is about doing things that nobody else has done before. The father of our faith, for instance, Abraham, gets up and says, I'm going somewhere. Where are you going? I don't know where I'm going. And in many regards, that's entrepreneurial. I believe the entrepreneurial spirit is the end of everybody's life. And yes, we can work with somebody who eventually, when you have to retire, whatever the retirement age is, you're not supposed to sit back and do nothing. And so everybody will come to a point where you have to be entrepreneurial. You either go to be coaching, or you start a small business, a small scale, or it is the business that you're overseeing, or you're chairing different companies. You will eventually get to the entrepreneurial space. And so for young people, I think it's a great, especially where in our part of the way I say the opportunities are not there. You have to create your own. And that by itself is the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah, and you're creating that with your business. Talk to us about that.
Youths are a passion of mine. So in just about every expression, I like to give opportunities to young people. I employ them, I coach them, I train them, and hopefully want to release them. Our latest venture, which is Agile Cycle, is an electric bike company. I think it's an idea whose time has come. And there's so many things that we want to do with it, beyond the challenges of transportation and releasing them, from some of the challenges we have with transportation, where you lose man hours in traffic, or, so you're saving time, you're also giving them mobility. But they're also, like I said, in every opportunity, it creates opportunities for other things. And so whether it's for dispatch, whether it's for logistics, which is a huge problem, moving goods and people from place to place, this presents an opportunity for you to do that. There are opportunities in tourism, there are opportunities in advertisements that we are, and these are offshoots of what we plan to do with that enterprise. And so yes, and just the bikes themselves, the electric bike themselves, we're partnering, or we intend to partner with the government and agencies, like-minded agencies, so that we're going to bring, with my partners, international partners, we're going to be providing training for young people in bicycle repairs, especially in the electrical side of it. And that by itself is an industry that can grow, so that across the nation we'll set up different opportunities for young people to at home, because you have the skill, you can start to earn money.
Yeah, and the innovation is brilliant. And there's no end for innovation, really. And your business is just brilliant. And that is what I really want young people to know, that despite the challenges, you have endless potentials. You can do anything. and scale through. So, as a father yourself, what would you say to parents who are looking to give practical strategies in raising their children? What would be your advice to them?
I would say honesty. That's one of the things that, just two things. What the young people need. They need structure. They need role models. By structure, I mean role models. There are patterns that they follow. Young people, up until their mid-20s, they have what you call mirror neurons, so that they replicate what they see rather than what they hear. And so to have role models and mentors is very important. And the first role models that anybody has are your parents. That and honesty. And I think that's one of the things that challenges, probably in our part of the world, there's not enough truth out there. And so in every sphere, can you find businessmen who can, honestly, Christian businessmen, because I'm a faith-based,
Yes,
but to find people who can do business the way we say, the way we teach it to be done. Can you actually do business ethically? The way it is preached, and show me examples, open your books. Do you do everything else the world says? And then, then you really can open up to. So I think that's one of the challenges, to find honest role models that they can follow and pattern their lives after, that will inevitably lead them to the success that we all desire. If God's word is true, then it has to be seen to work.
Yes.
The way we preach it, the way we teach it. And so the idea is to break down complex things and make it very simple. Purpose, for instance, I think is something, it's a big word that, people put out there. But for me, you don't control your purpose. Purpose is something that God has determined, whether you like it or not. And He's the one who's going to ring your bell at a point in time that He chooses and then bring you into purpose. For Moses, it was at age 80. For Jeremiah, it was when he was 17. And so you can't worry all through your life, waiting for purpose to kick in.
It has already been given to you. And one thing I've learned about purpose in my journey because all my life has been about purpose, making impact. One thing I've learned is that as much as you are harnessing your skills and your talents, you have to gain clarity. Clarity is just like a third eye. When you have clarity, it's like everything becomes new and you have better ideas to do things a certain way, to reach out to the kind of people you need to reach out to. And so purpose is not, people see purpose as, just living your dreams or exploring your talent, but it goes beyond that. It has to do with clarity on your divine assignment, clarity on your divine assignment and structure.
To guide you there. To
guide you, because you can just be all over the place without structure.
I would also add exposure. You can't really see, the scripture say, for instance, it's as far as the eye can see. So how can you aspire to what you have never experienced, what you have never seen? In our country, for instance, when I was coming up, we had pipe-borne water. This generation have never seen pipe-borne water. How do you, so how are you going to fix the country when you don't, except you leave the country, and that's why they're leaving. And then the ones who leave and come back are expressing themselves in awesome ways. So exposure is very important. That's something that they need. And so, again, scriptural recommendation is, whatsoever your hand finds to do it. So I'm not one who will say, sit down in one place and wait until you get clarity. No. Put yourself out there, and then you will eventually find, I'm good at this. I'm great at this. And then you start to blossom and flourish. And then ideas now start to come to you because you are in that space. Joseph had different, he was doing something in his father's house, but all his experience allowed him to rule Egypt at the finest level and do things nobody else had done before.
Beautiful.
It's a summation of his life.
So much, Pastor Ike. This has been such an impactful and insightful episode. Honestly, I believe our viewers have learned quite a lot, and thank you for coming on the Tracy Dominic show. It's been such an honor to have you here.
Thank you. And kudos to you, lending your voice and giving people a platform to share their stories. That's an awesome thing. We need more of you.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you very much.
The Tracy Dominic Show. Own your story.
Thanks for watching. I hope you found this conversation insightful and inspiring. If you enjoyed this episode, support the Tracy Dominic Show by simply liking, subscribing, and sharing. Your support keeps the show running and helps us bring you more powerful stories and expert insights. Until next time, keep watching the Tracy Dominic Show and keep living a life of purpose. See you soon.